Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our MISAT Bulletin. And now we shall start with our headlines. Syria rebels reject Suu Kyi peace initiative. Egypt wants World Bank to help on Ethiopia dam impasse. Moving on to our details, starting with the Syrian profile. More than 3,000 Syrian rebel groups have rejected a Russian-led initiative for talks next month in Sochi on ending Syria's war. Russia and Iran agreed with Turkey on Friday to hold a Congress of National Dialogue in the Black Sea resort of Sochi on January 29th and 30th. Syria's government swiftly said it would attend, but rebels have pushed back, calling it a Russian bid to eclipse a United Nations-led process in Geneva. The rebels, in a statement signed by 40 factions on Monday, said we completely reject Russia's attempt to circumvent the Geneva track. Meanwhile, Russia has started establishing a permanent military presence at naval and air bases in Syria, according to what the defense minister said on Tuesday, as Parliament ratified a deal with Damascus to cement Russian presence in the country. RIA news agency quoted Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu as saying, last week the Commander-in-Chief, President Vladimir Putin, approved the structure and the bases in Tartus and in Hamaymim air base. We have begun forming a permanent presence there. The news agency also reported that the deal signed on January 18th will expand the Tartus naval facility and grant Russian warships access to Syrian waters and ports. On the other side of the world, Russian officials should review opposition leader Alexei Navalny's calls for an election boycott to see if they might be breaking the law. This comes after Russia's top election body ruled on Monday to formally bar Navalny from running in the presidential election next March. In response, Navalny said the ban shows that President Vladimir Putin is terribly scared and is afraid of running against me, and called on his supporters to stay away from the vote in protest. On the other hand, spokesman Dmitry Peskov on Tuesday said the calls for boycott ought to be carefully studied to see if they are breaking the law. Meanwhile, Britain's Royal Navy has escorted one of Russia's warships through the North Sea near UK waters, officials said on Tuesday, amid increasing tensions between the two countries. The HMS St. Albans, with 190 sailors on board, was used to escort the Russian Admiral Groshkov frigate on Monday through what British officials called areas of national interest on Christmas Day. In addition, Royal Navy helicopter was used to track other Russian vessels in the area. The Navy said there has been a recent surge in Russian vessels traveling near UK waters. From another perspective, Defense Secretary Gavin Williams said Britain wouldn't tolerate aggression. Moving on to Egyptian-Ethiopian relations, Egypt says the World Bank should be brought in to resolve tensions with Ethiopia over a massive dam on the Nile River that Egypt says threatens its water security. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry spoke on Tuesday in Addis Ababa after a 10-month impasse over the dam's technical negotiations. The talks also involve Sudan. Shoukry calls the World Bank neutral and decisive and says science should be the determining factor in resolving the issue. On the other hand, Ethiopia says the Grand Renaissance Dam's construction will not reduce Egypt's water share. Noteworthy, the dam will be the biggest hydroelectric plant in Africa. On to Islamabad, New Delhi's relations. Pakistani officials said on Tuesday that Indian fire across the line of control in the disputed Kashmir region killed 3 Pakistani soldiers. The military said the unprovoked ceasefire violation along the line of control took place on Monday in Rawalakot in Pakistan's part of Kashmir. Officials said Pakistan also returned fire, but no other details were available, and there was no immediate response from India. Moreover, on Tuesday, the situation was still tense in various parts of Kashmir, and residents were fleeing to safer places in the region. Going to natural crisis, a powerful storm that left a trail of death and destruction in the Philippines was downgraded to a tropical depression on Tuesday and failed to make landfall in Vietnam. Hundreds of thousands of people in Vietnam's Mekong Delta had been evacuated as the region braced for the arrival of Typhoon Tempin, after the storm left more than 160 people dead in the Philippines. Weather forecasters had expected the Delta's southern tip to be in Tempin's path, but by Tuesday morning, the storm was downgraded to a tropical depression, and forecasters expected it to dissipate over the Gulf of Thailand later Tuesday. And finally, economic news. Asian stock markets were mixed on Tuesday in light trading after the Christmas holiday. The Shanghai Composite Index gained 0.8% to 306.12, and Tokyo's Nikkei 225 shed 0.2% to 22,892.69. Seoul's Kospi fell 0.5% to 2,427.34, and India's Sensex gained 0.2% to 34,010.61. Shares in Taiwan and Singapore declined while Bangkok advanced. From another aspect, markets in Germany, Britain and France were closed for a holiday. On Wall Street, the future for the Dow Jones Industrial Average advanced just under 0.1%, while that for the Standard & Poor's 500 index was unchanged. And before ending our news, let's take another look at the most important headlines for today. Syria rebels reject Suu Kyi peace initiative. Egypt wants World Bank to help on Ethiopia dam impasse. And we reach the end of our MISAT bulletin for today. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow in a new bulletin.